Well, good morning. I had an epiphany this morning. My epiphany is about the Wall Street investor class and the pundits on CNBC and elsewhere. And let's see if you agree with my theory. This is Randy Kirk, and if this content just gets you up in the morning and makes you thrilled, then please like. And I'm going to be talking to you again at the end of this video. If you want to hang around to the end, I'm going to talk to you once again about this news concept I have. We need the news. You and I need the news. We need to get the news. We need it fast in order to be great investors. And I'll be talking to you a little bit more about that at the end. All right, let's dig right in. Well, okay. What is it about the investor class and what is it about the punditry class that takes them so long to figure out Elon Musk, Tesla, and why this is a juggernaut that needs to be paid attention to and needs to be invested in? What is slowing them up? What is causing them to not get it on Investor Day last Wednesday? I have been thinking about that for days. I know a couple of other YouTubers have mentioned that they've got the same quandary that they're trying to figure it out. Well, hopefully they'll watch this video. I'd love to hear your comments and their comments about whether maybe I got a few of these ideas right. So let's try a couple of them here. Number one, Elon Musk will say something like, lots and lots of people want a Tesla. They just can't afford a Tesla. So it's up to us to make an affordable version. And the investor class will roll their eyes. They're like, how does he know that lots and lots of people want a Tesla? Has he done polling? Has he done, analysis, marketing analysis? Is there some way he knows that lots and lots of people want a Tesla if they could just afford one? Well, so they roll their eyes and they're like, we don't see the data. We want to see some data to make that more understandable. Well, here's the difference between Elon and you and me. I think, now some of you may not fit in this class either, but basically these guys have not watched, they've never watched a Tony Seba video. They've never listened to Cathie Wood. Or if they've listened to Cathie Wood, they dismiss her because, she had a great year and then ever since then she's been going downhill. Well, yeah, but of course, if you look at where she was 3 years ago and where she is now, still is a very good ride for all of her investors. So, but they just don't get the S-curve. They don't understand the disruption idea. Have you watched the Tony Seba videos? Do you understand his science with regard to disruption? This is not something that Tony Seba is like pulling out of a rabbit, out of the thin air. Tony Seba has studied this his entire career, and he's been able to see how disruptions work. And there's an S-curve where a disruption hits about 10%, and then it goes like this. So you're going along like this, it hits 10%, and then all of a sudden it goes crazy. Well, these pundits on Wall Street are not paying any attention to that. They're looking at the automotive industry, they're looking at the energy industry, they're looking at other industries that Tesla is in, and they are not considering this to be a disruptive project. They don't see it in terms of disruption. Oh yeah, they experienced the iPhone. Oh yeah, they experienced the end of newspapers and magazines. Oh yeah, they've experienced all kinds of disruptions in their lifetimes, but people don't look at history and they don't get history, and so they're not applying history. And they don't believe Tony Seba if they have watched him. And they certainly don't believe, and they certainly don't believe Cathie Wood. So if they don't believe this concept of disruption, then they don't see what Elon is talking about when he says everybody wants one. Well, what everybody wants is actually a really compelling electric vehicle at a very compelling price. And right now, Tesla's the only one that's making them at scale. So you don't really have a choice. If you want a compelling electric vehicle at a compelling price, it has to be a Tesla. That is not translating through to these folks on Wall Street. They're still looking at a market that includes ICE cars and all this variety. And they're seeing it. This is historically what's happened. They don't get the disruption. They don't get that there's basically just one model iPhone, two models at the most, that completely dominate the entire smartphone industry, and that can be true also for Tesla. All right, so that's number one. What do you think? Let me know in the in the information below. We also, I'm sorry, in your comments, I read your comments. I love your comments. We also know we've already been able to see that the stats are happening with regard to the S-curve. So in China, in Europe, especially in the Netherlands and Norway, in the Northern European countries, now in Germany, in Australia, we're already beginning to see it, in California. So it's not like we don't have proof of the Tony Seba concept playing itself out around the world. And now it's just a matter of taking place everywhere else. This is not rocket science. This is just plain old science. And it is playing itself out in front of us. But these guys don't get it. They are not paying any attention to Tony Seba or to Cathie Wood. All right, number 2. The street is made up, just like my channel here, the street is made up of mostly alpha males. About 90% of the people listening right now are men. Many of you are alphas. Many of you own your own businesses. You're managing businesses. You're independently employed. And guess what? We alpha males buy our cars based on the style, the fact that it makes us look good, the fact that it's faster than the guy next to us. That's how we've been buying our cars our entire lives. I still drive my second car. My wife drives the Tesla. I haven't sold my Volvo yet. It's a 300 horsepower, turbocharged, goes 0 to 60 according to the specs at 4.5. I mean, that's what we look for. We're not interested in whether it saves us a nickel or a dime. We have a completely different reason for buying a car than the rest of the folks out there. And these alpha males that are, on the television shows and the ones that are in the making the decisions on Wall Street, these folks are driving the Lamborghinis and they're driving the Ferraris and they're driving the Mercedes and the Beamers, and they want them to be fast and they want them to be cool and they want it to be an extension of their own persona and make them look good when they go out and look for a lady, or whether they're entertaining people for business purposes. That is how we were trained up. That's what all the books, all the self-help books told us to do, is to go buy the Cadillac or the Lincoln, the fancy car, in order to, and the $300 suit, in order to make sure that people respected us. All right, that is the historical underpinning of what their thinking is with regard to how people make purchasing decisions. So they need a fancy car. It needs to be a great color, and it needs to be fast, and it needs to be unique, so that it gives some indication of the uniqueness of the personality of the person involved. Well, that isn't how everybody else buys. So that isn't how the average consumer out there buys. So I did a little research this morning. The number one thing that people buy on is the cost of ownership. They want to be lots of miles per gallon, inexpensive gasoline, not a lot of maintenance, good guarantee, warranty, whatever. And number 2, and sometimes these flip back and forth, number 2 is safety. Those are the number 1 and number 2 reasons people buy cars. And this is why when I bought my Tesla, I bought it in the color red, the kind of a burnt red that I love. And I had to pay extra for that burnt red. And yet, when I went to sell it a few years ago, I found out that I was going to get less for it because it was burnt red. Everybody's cars are white and black and silver gray, some versions of silver and gray. Those are what sell. You don't have to pay extra for them. And in fact, they sell better when it's time to resell them. The average folks out there are looking for a car. Okay, once again, starting with safety. Number 2, low cost of ownership. Number 3, utility. That's why these sport utility cars and the SUVs and the crossovers, that's why they sell. It's because they have tons of utility. They're useful in all kinds of applications, with kids, without kids, on trips to the beach, on trips to the grocery store. They work really well. Pickups, same thing. That's what we love, especially in the United States. We love these vehicles that give us tons of utility. And then we also want them to have a good resale. And then somewhere down the line, we finally get to convenience and then style and performance. So what does that mean? Well, style and performance, I've just explained it. Convenience means I want to be able to get it repaired easily. I want to be able to buy it without a lot of hassle. And that's one of the things that Tesla has locked into with their network of online purchasing, and which some of the used car people are also getting the point. People don't want to go and do the hassle with the new or used car salesman anymore. That's not fun. Okay. Number three. So number two, the street doesn't get that. They don't understand those things. And what Tesla is providing people is all of those things in exactly that order. They are the safest cars. You never have to go to a gas station. You never have to worry about, you rarely ever have to take it for service. You have a zero friction with regard to making the purchase. They last forever. They have a great resale value. They are filled with utility. So all of the things that drive the normal person to make a purchase, the average person out there to make a purchase, that is what Tesla is appealing to. And the guy on the street, the alpha male, they don't understand that. They don't get it. All right. Number three, the old boys are still driving fast cars. And they get it that the Tesla is way faster. And so on a basic level, they want to buy that performance. They would love to buy the performance because they want to be able to tell their friends that they have the fastest, hottest, the best performing vehicle out there. But there's a problem. They feel like the electric car with this little tiny motor and batteries and all quiet and everything, that it's cheating. It's just not right. Tell me I'm wrong about this. Go ahead, tell me in the comments that I'm wrong about that. No, it feels like it's cheating. Otherwise, why wouldn't they just start putting electric cars in NASCAR right now? I mean, they're going to whip the field. So it's cheating. It's an entire new level of automobile using a completely different drivetrain. And so, yes, I am going, if I take out my Plaid, I don't have one, but if I had one and I drive my Plaid up to the corner here and the light changes to green, I don't care who I'm sitting next to, I'm going to whip them easily. I don't care what car it is. And everybody, any smart guy, all the guys on Wall Street know this. They know it's a fact, but it feels like cheating. So it's only okay to race ICE car to ICE car, because after all, it was you that make that car go fast, right? You have something to do with it, just like you have something to do with your height and the color of your eyes. Okay, number four. Oh, and by the way, once they buy their own Plaid, of course they take their friends out and show them how fast it is. I know. Okay, number four. Every family has a built-in tradition of certain kind of automobile, certain kind of brand. So I grew up in a Chrysler family. My grandfather bought a brand new Chrysler every 3 years. My dad was mostly Plymouths and Dodges. My first 5 or 6 cars were all Plymouths and Dodges. I had a used car rental car business for a while. It was all Dodges and Plymouth Valiants and Dodge Darts. So I'm a Plymouth guy. But the reality is, in the ensuing years, I've had every kind of car, from Cadillac to Mazda to, think of the car, I've probably owned it over the years. But that doesn't mean that I don't see myself. I still see myself as a Dodge or a Plymouth guy. And my favorite car on the road today is still the Dodge Challenger. I love the look of the Challenger. Almost bought a Challenger instead of the Volvo. We have this history built into us, every single person. So to a certain extent, the Tesla now, in the mind of these individuals on Wall Street, the individuals in the punditry, this is a car that's an interloper. It's not supposed to destroy the family car that I grew up loving and take over that entire thing. So there's an emotional sadness that's associated with it. And so that's just one more thing we have to deal with. Then there's an expert bias. So maybe as a stock investor, maybe as a pundit, I have been following General Motors or BMW or Audi or Mercedes or Toyota or Honda. I've been following these car companies for years. I've become expert in them. I know a lot about how they operate, and I make my trades based on the fact that I have a knowledge gap between what I know and what the rest of the world knows about these companies. So I have a certain investment in my expertise. And so I want to be able to continue to trade on that expertise. And now if Tesla comes along, I look at it, I go, well, they can't do that. No, they're not as good as this company I've been following all this years because I have an expert bias going on. This company has been so good for so long. How can Tesla possibly be disrupting and destroying this company that I know so much about? So I call this an expert bias. By the way, again, your comments, I'd really like to know whether you think I'm getting any of this right or if I'm completely way off base. But these are just the things that occurred to me over the course of this morning. All right, next is we're starting to get downstream on the sexiness. So obviously the Roadster was extremely sexy. You know, then the S and the X, they were pretty sexy. You got the gull-wing doors, and Model S was, you know, a pretty good looking car. Then you had the Y and the 3. They had a certain excitement based on the fact they were the first mass market cars, but they were just slightly smaller versions of the S and the X, and they look a lot alike and hard to differentiate. Now there's, in California especially, there's in Northern Europe, there's hundreds, thousands of them on the road. You see them coming and going all the time. So you're starting to see a little bit, you're going to start to see a fall off in the sexiness of the category. Well, when you're talking about a Model 2 or Duo or Trois or whatever it's going to be called, Tau, when you're talking about the next model, this Generation 3 platform product, it might be even a lot less sexy. I mean, we're talking about something to replace the Corolla. We're talking about something to replace a Honda Civic. So for the average guy on Wall Street that's making hundreds of thousands of dollars or more a year, he's not interested in that car. He's not buying that car. He's never bought that car. He might have bought one when he was in college or maybe when he's 16, but he's not even remotely interested in that automobile today. And so it's hard for him to wrap his arms around the idea of a $25,000 Tesla being a big deal. It's a big deal. You can see it, you know, financially. You can say, okay, I can see where that's going to sell a lot, but it's not as exciting. It's not as fun. So there is a sexiness aspect to a story stock like Tesla. And so where's the sexiness going to come from in the future? I would argue the sexiness right now is going to come from Cybertruck, to a lesser extent from Semi when it goes into full production, and it will come from the Optimus robots. Huge potential for sexiness there. So, but the sexiness with regard to the auto range is going to start becoming less and less, and we just have to realize that. So even the reveal, when they have the Platform 3 reveal and they show what the cars are actually going to look for, it's not going to be a Model X. Okay, it's just not. It's not going to be the Roadster. It's going to be maybe even in some ways plainer than a Toyota Camry. It's going to be, it might be stainless steel and not available in any colors. It might be boxy looking. It might not have any sexiness on the outside, maybe art on the inside either. So it may not, the reveal may not be, wow, okay, now I get it. But it will be the everyman car. And that's the next step that Tesla needs to take in order to do their effort to get to 20 million cars. Okay, so that would be another issue as the sexiness starts to dry up. Okay, most missed the first run up. Most of these people on Wall Street didn't get to take advantage of 2016 to 2021. They didn't get it. They didn't buy in. They didn't take advantage. And in fact, they might have bought in, they might have been shorting, and they might have got caught in the shorts. So guess what? They've got a negative taste in their mouth. They didn't get to take advantage, and they might have got caught on the short side. Or maybe they finally bought in at the end of 21 or in 2022, and they got to ride it down. Or even if they made lots of money in 20 and 21, how many people did we see on Twitter crying in their beer because they made millions in 2019 and 2020 and early 21, only to lose back a portion of it in 22, but still be way ahead. And yet they were emotionally just crushed by this reality of the big losses. Well, you can understand that, but now these pundits and these Wall Streeters could have a bitter taste in their mouth, as an unhappiness, if they were in one of those categories that I just described, and that could keep them from really giving an honest analysis going forward. Obviously, they're going to miss the next one because we're going to 100x over the next 7 years, and that is not even counting Optimus or robotaxis. So somewhere between, I mean, Kathy Wood says 7,000. Other people have their own numbers. It's going to be a big jump, and these guys are going to miss it again unless they start figuring out that this is not a one-trick pony. All right, number 8. They can't get past the idea that Tesla is just a car company. They also can't get past the idea that even if it's a car company, it's a completely different car company in terms of margins, in terms of the way that they manufacture, in terms of the vertical integration, in terms of the dealer network, in terms of the infrastructure build out that they did in advance. I mean, this is like no other car company ever, including Ford. Ford didn't go out and build gas stations everywhere. If they did a lot of the same things that Tesla's doing now, but they didn't build gas stations, and they didn't use, there was no such thing as software at the time. So this car company is they're nothing like any other car company. And now Ford and Toyota apparently just got it. They went, whoops, but the pundits still don't get it. Even if it's just a car company, it's nothing like any other car company, and they don't understand that. But it's not just a car company. Elon has just described it as being an AI robotics company. So that's the most recent description of how to look at Tesla, as an AI robotics company. And that might be the smartest way to look at it. But certainly it has an entire energy division. It's got a major semi-truck division, and it's got all of this dojo and other potential coming along, plus all the sidebars like insurance and charging stations and all the rest. So it is far beyond being a car company. And even as a car company, it's not just a car company. So they can't get past that. They can't get it in their mind. And this is another place that they're just completely missing it. And so that's, you got to be able to realize, get in their shoes and see why they're missing it. It's not because they're stupid. It's because it's almost impossible for them to see it in this way. Number 9, manufacturing is not a sexy category in America. Elon keeps saying, manufacturing should be a sexy category. He says, why aren't more people becoming manufacturers? And in fact, manufacturing is coming back to the United States, and will come back to the United States even more because of what? Optimus. So the only reason that manufacturing went offshore was to save labor. The only reason that Tesla's building a plant in Mexico right now is to save labor. This has always been the case for, my entire lifetime, starting with Japan in the 50s, and then Taiwan, and then South Korea, and then China, and then Taiwan. And then the Southeast Asian countries. So we've seen this constant effort to find the low-cost manufacturing places, and that's why it's happened. Well, now if you got robots and you got tremendous abilities with software, then the manufacturing can come back to the United States, and that's what's happening. So, but so far, right now, these pundits, they're still living in their own mental analysis, and they don't see manufacturing as sexy. They don't find it that interesting. They haven't been involved in the manufacturing side, and they don't get it. They don't understand it. Number 10, they don't like Elon Musk. Don't know why. Oh yeah, I know lots of reasons why. Elon is Elon. He is a true entrepreneur. He makes bold statements, and then he makes them come true, but commonly very late. And some of these pundits and some of these Wall Street types, they like hard, fast numbers, and they want to be able to compare the hard numbers against future actual performance. That's the way they've been trained to think. Elon is an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs don't think that way. Sure, there's a point at which you have to think that way, but that is not how he thinks. He says, I can accomplish this. We, Tesla, can accomplish this. And I think we can do it in this amount of time. And we're going to press hard to do that, but we may fall short. But we're never going to say in our minds that we're going to fall short any more than Tom Brady thinks he's going to fall short of the touchdown when he's driving. No, you're going to put the ball over the line, and that's how Elon thinks. So they see him as being fraudulent. They see him as being a liar. He's not a fraud and he's not a liar. He's telling you what he actually believes can happen, and which is also a motivating factor for himself and for the troops to put hard challenges in front of them and then try to make them. So this is maybe the primary reason why these folks don't like Elon. And I've done a whole other video a couple of months ago on why people don't like winners, why they don't like Superman all the time, why 50% of the people that were alive more than 50% of the people alive at the time rejected Christ. It doesn't matter what you do. There's going to be a certain number of people that don't like you. There's a couple of people that don't like me. Go figure. Anyway, all right. Finally, even if these pundits and Wall Streeters start to get it, they don't have anybody to talk to about it. And they go, oh my gosh, I just realized manufacturing is a great thing. Oh, I just realized it looks like Tesla is going to become the largest company ever. Oh my gosh. And they go home and they talk to their wife, they talk to their neighbor, they talk to their kids, they talk to their parents, they talk to their brother and sister, they talk to other people at MSNBC, they talk to other people in the financial news. And everybody else goes, are you crazy? What are you even talking about? I haven't watched any Tony Seba. They don't get it. And so even if I am the one guy at CNBC that gets it, then I have to fight with all these other folks that haven't bothered to watch Tony Seba yet. So they're not in a place where they're going to get positive feedback. So they have to maintain their convictions in a place where they don't have a lot of folks that are agreeing with them. So that's my list. Tear it apart. Tell me where I'm wrong. Add to my list. Tell me where I missed one or two or three. I'm sure I did. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Now let's talk for just a minute about my news product. I'm an entrepreneur and I've got to have a new product now. The YouTube channel is 4 months old and is doing well. And so now, there's something new that came to my mind. A bright, shiny object, a squirrel. I have to go chase it. And I really believe that there's an opportunity where you and I, both of us, what we want is we want our news and we want it now. We want our Tesla news and our Elon Musk news, and we want it now. We want to know why the stock just went up a lot, why the stock just went down a lot. We want to know what to expect today based on the news, what's going to happen later today, because we want that news first. But, there's an awful lot. There's a bunch of fellow YouTubers out there that are always knocking people that are day traders, and they're knocking people that are in and out of the stock and saying the only way to be is buy and hold it for 10 years. That's just not true. I'm not an investment advisor. This is not an investment advice, but Gary Black just sold the other day for, I think, 207 and bought back in at 196. There's nothing wrong with that. If he sees a top and he thinks he should sell out a portion of it, and then it drops $10 and he says, boy, let's get back in, I think that's the bottom. There's nothing wrong with that. That is the stock market. And for some people, whether it's somebody who's investing for other people like Gary, whether it's somebody like me who's older than dirt and it's just play money, and I like leaps, and it's fun for me sometimes to jump in and out of those leaps, there's nothing wrong with that. So if you're trading more frequently than once every decade, you may want to know what's going to happen later today. So I want to put together this website that will be private. It'll be behind a paywall, and it will only allow those to come in who've paid for it. And it will be all the news from wherever I can gather it. I will pay to go behind paywalls, and I can't copy those paywall items, so we will do a quick analysis of what was said in those articles. There will be reports that you're not privy to, and I'm going to try to get those reports and report on them to the extent that I can. And then all the resources that I normally use to bring you news events. And I know I'm not a news channel, so I'm not commonly bringing news events, but I know where to get that information. I want to put that information up as fast as I can, just like the Drudge Report, multiple times a day. I hate the Drudge Report now. It is so biased to the left that it's not worth reading, but it is still a place that they put the news up, I don't know, 5, 6, 10 times a day. That's what the plan is for this. What do I need from you in order to do this? I have a Patreon. You can join my Patreon for $5, or you can join my Patreon for $10 and just be part of my group of people that we're talking about the future there. We've already put up a couple of articles talking about the future of housing and the future of how housing developments might look. And you may want to participate in this analysis. But for $50 or $100, you can become one of the founders of this news channel that I'm going to create. And I need about 100 people like that. I need about $5,000 a month coming in order to hire the people that are I'm going to teach them how to gather this news and then put it up on this page. This is not free. And I'm not right now in the position where I want to risk $5,000 a month. So I need some help. $50, $100, it doesn't matter which you choose. There will be founders that will be the $100 category, and there will be founders that will be the $50 categories. We have one individual so far who has signed up at $50, and he will be at the top of the page as long as he continues to pay every month for his founder's position. The first person that pays $100, they will be at the top of the page under the list of the people paying $100. So if you'd like to know more about it, certainly you can shoot me a note, put something in the comments, ask me for details, check me out on Twitter and send me a DM on Twitter. I am widely available. I want to talk to you. I want to be involved with you on a personal basis if that's what you would like. So I think that's enough for today. I've talked as long as you could probably stand. So with all that said, hey, it's been great talking to you today.